Poet of the Month, Gwendolyn Brooks. Gwendolyn Brooks is an American poet born in Topeka, Kansas in 1917. Brooks is an author and a poet, and for her work she received a Pulitzer amongst many other distinguished awards. She is a consultant to the Library of Congress and a poet laureate for Illinois. Gwendolyn Brooks passed away in 2000. We Real Cool. The Pool Players, 7 at the Golden Shovel. We real cool. We left school. We lurk late. We strike straight. We sing sin. We thin gin. We jazz June. We die soon. A paraphrasing of Barbara Sims' interpretation of this poem. How cool these students are, how edgy and justifiable are their actions, until the last line we hear our wanting to leave society and act with our own purposes. The last line leaves the cool behind, leaves the reader chilled with a new perspective of the pool players. Well, once the pool players seemed cool, now the rebellion is left asking, is it worth it? Gwendolyn on Gwendolyn, how to read the poem. First of all, let me tell you how that's we real cool is supposed to be said, because there's a reason why I set it out as I did. These are people who are essentially saying, Kilroy is here. We are. But they are a little uncertain of the strength of their own identity. The we, you're supposed to stop after the we and think about validity. Of course, there's no way for you to tell whether it should be said softly or not. I suppose, but I say it rather softly because I want to represent the basic uncertainty. The Bean Eaters by Gwendolyn Brooks. They eat beans mostly, this old yellow pair. Dinner is a casual affair. Plain chipware on a plain and creaking wood, tin flatware. Two who are mostly good, two who have lived their day, but keep on putting on their clothes and putting things away. And remembering with twinklings and twinges as they lean over the beans in their rented back room that is full of beads and receipts and dolls and cloths, tobacco crumbs, vases and fringes. The poem, The Bean Eaters, as seen through the eyes of Mr. Schnickel. The speaker is not directly associated with the bean eaters, as she or he takes on the voice of an observer. Before the poem is further unfolded, we must note that even we, as readers, are observers. Characters and context. If we are to take the poet's life into account, we might be able to understand our characters better. Just from the information the reader or listener can glean, extract from the brief bio provided, we can see that Gwendolyn Brooks lived predominantly in 3 places: Kansas, Illinois, and Chicago. According to the Kansas Historical Foundation, the 4 main crops of Kansas are corn, wheat, sunflowers, and soybeans. Could this be an indication as to the identity of the bean eaters? Are they migrant workers living in a shifty back room where they are paying but not legal residents? Or are they a representation of the farm industry in America? Or are they the reader may find that this old yellow pair is quite poor with their plain chipware on a plain and creaking wood in their rented back room. Old yellow pair. The words can bring to mind northern Europeans appearing yellow, certain foods causing skin pigmentation to shift, or the yellow skin of the potato in association with the results of the potato famine on the Irish. But mostly, the words bring to mind fading yellow newspaper, aging, a newspaper that has lived its day, but still remains maybe containing relevant news, or maybe, like the current state of the newspaper industry, staying because that is all the paper knows. While we see the bean eaters as fading, yellowing newspaper coming to a close with all sections read except the obituaries, we can be thrown by the dolls and cloths and vases. We are probably not thrown by the word following, the word fringes, because that is how we see our bean eaters living, on the fringes, on the edge of a quiet oblivion, unnoticed by everyone in the universe, with the exception of the poet-observer Gwendolyn Brooks, myself, and now you. Returning from the edge of oblivion and looking at the words that earlier threw us into a twist, we can find and locate personal connotations and connotations to location as related the poet who authored our bean eaters into existence. What images do dolls, cloths, and vases bring into your mind? What images can we find from our limited but searching understanding of Gwendolyn Brooks? What images can we find if we associate those three words with what we have observed of our bean eaters? Could the three items just be furnishings left in the cheap back room by a landowner who hadn't and wouldn't do renovations for some old yellowing poor, but mostly good, bean eaters? Is the doll a remnant of a past life that brings a twinkling to the eyes of the two loving, although poor and lost in their poverty to the eyes of society? Parents, does the doll belong to a child who will return home soon, visiting from a nearby town where she lives with her family? And after the twinklings of the memory of a child's past interactions with a favorite childhood doll, does the pair feel twinges of regret or sadness? Is early imagining of a child returning home just that, imaginings? Is the child, now an adult, living miles away, too poor to visit and too poor to be visited? Or has the child passed, leaving pleasant memories for lingering loved ones, but also twinges of sadness brought on by the loss of one so loved? Imaginings is a word I used earlier. The three words we have found ourselves discussing have been published and are in your hands and ears and are therefore up to your imaginings. Who is the pair? Who are our bean eaters? You, the reader, can be a large part of their creation. Now we leave Kansas and enter into Chicago. Main crops, soybeans and corn, the city where Gwendolyn grew up after her family moved there after only 6 months. In Chicago, Gwendolyn went to 4 schools, which helped give her a perspective on racial viewpoints, injustices, prejudice, and tensions. She attended Hyde Park, the leading white school in the area. Wendell Phillips, an all-black school, Englewood High School, an integrated school, and Wilson Junior College. At this time in Chicago, a lot of black Southerners were moving into the city. A few years previous, between 1925 and 1929, the black population developed and prospered, even holding elected offices for Chicago. A rise in art and jazz boomed. Then came the Great Depression, and the artistic and economic boom turned into an explosion, a boom backfiring on the African American population. Jobs started going to the whites, and blacks were in trouble. But despite the poverty level, and perhaps in spite of the poverty level, the Harlem Renaissance persevered. As the great migration of Southern blacks was occurring, Pulitzer Prize-winning poet Gwendolyn Brooks emerged with a look at the lives of everyday African Americans. Now we must ask ourselves, do the Bean Eaters represent the everyday, downtrodden but optimistic, mostly good blacks, putting on their clothes despite having lived their day in the 1920s as the upper middle class, office-holding individuals, and now living in a rented back room? Or can we find some aspects of a previous life, a glimmer of Kansas forming through? Or have the cities merged, the past coming together to represent an everyday African American as a whole?
We real cool, the pool players, 7 at the Golden Shovel. We real cool, we left school, we lurk light, we strike straight, we sing sin, we thin gin, we jazz June, we die sin.